This is an electric school bus, one of many starting to proliferate around the country. Most school buses are old, polluting diesels, and studies have shown that children traveling in them lose IQ points compared to kids traveling in cleaner means. That's a huge reason for electrifying school buses. And theoretically, it is.
Did you hear that? Kids' IQ points are going down because they're consistently around diesel engines. At their school buses, their school bus stops, getting picked up by school buses, dropped off by school buses, pretty much being around school buses 5 days a week. That's pretty intense. And for kids to be losing IQ points because of diesel is probably a clear sign to get rid of diesel around kids, especially if studies show that their IQ points are getting lower. Kids who have the option to be around cleaner energy are not experiencing these lowered IQ points. So, it's pretty obvious that, yes, it's linked to diesel. Even the health organization has said that diesel engines are definitely linked to lung cancer. So why are we ignoring this and still letting kids ride on buses that are clearly causing them to get lower scores? Who's going to sit here and fight that and defend that? Probably diesel lovers, of course. But yes, of course, you can love your diesel engines and all that stuff. But if studies are showing that it's making kids get worse, IQ levels, then why even stand up for diesel at this point?
But the real reason that green school buses started proliferating is another kind of green: money. Like ride-hailing, school buses experience strong demand at specific hours and remain unused for most of the day. But electricity demand has peak hours too. This curve shows the electricity demand along the day, commonly known as the duck curve. It illustrates how electricity demand fluctuates, with peak demand occurring in the evening when people return home, and peak supply happening during the day when solar production is highest. Since peak electricity demand is at hours when school buses are idle, using EV school buses with bidirectional charging to stabilize the grid could be a source of real revenue. In one study, over 70 days, the average school bus discharged over 10 megawatt hours of energy back to the grid during peak demand hours, generating around $23,000. Annualized, that's $120,000 of revenue per bus per year, which makes it very clear why schools are now rushing to electrify.
And on top of that, the cost savings. It's very obvious that cheap electricity is much cheaper than gasoline. And basically, people are saying this and letting people know, but there's still a group of people who are like, that's not real, that's baloney. But clearly, school buses and schools, they're realizing, hey, there can be lots of savings here because it costs a lot to fix diesel engines. Diesel is expensive. And now that people are starting to catch on, they're like, hey, let's start getting these electric buses. And not only that, it's healthier for the children. Everyone still seems to be pushing back like electric vehicles are so bad and they have all this stuff to say. But diesel is just as worse. It's literally making kids less intelligent. Their scores are getting lower and going down from inhaling these fumes consistently. So, I think it's just nutty that people will still stand up and defend this. Diesel is going to be phased out at some point in the future. Even right now with the Tesla electric semi-truck, there are drivers who are saying, yeah, wow, we're saving a ton of money. Like the most expensive part for a diesel is consistently filling up the gasoline. The diesel, filling up that tank. Diesel is expensive. And here there's people who are literally making videos saying, yeah, we're saving a lot of money. It's very obvious. We're trying to make the switch to electric trucks because people who own fleets of trucks know that the most expensive part besides fixing them is paying for the diesel. So they're realizing, hey, let's start saving some money for our company by switching to electric semi-trucks. And hey, don't believe me? Go watch the videos of the people who are testifying saying, yeah, we're having big savings. And these people have been driving diesel trucks for years. Some of them are like, man, I actually prefer the Tesla semi-truck. It's much better. No fumes, the noise, all that stuff. Like, you don't have to take my word for it, but there are people genuinely out there saying that things are much different and in their case better by not using a diesel truck. So if you want to save the kids, stop using diesel trucks for these kids to jump in to go to school buses moving from left and right. Like, it's very toxic. I thought people would get this by now, but clearly people don't. And the diesel lovers are going to fight back and say this and that. But you know what? When the people who love diesel so much finally, unfortunately, do start seeing signs of cancer, that's when they decide to switch. It's just like a person who smokes cigarettes all their life and then they're like, I'll never quit. Now they have, cancer forming, they quit cold turkey. This is exactly what happens to people who love diesel. They talk a big talk, and then when their doctor's like, sir, you're forming some cancer in your lungs, that's when they're like, oh, it's time to switch. So instead of waiting for that moment, why not just make the switch now? Well, thanks for tuning in. That's enough for today. I post videos daily. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Post videos about big tech, the automobile industry, Tesla, and all sorts of things. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. See you tomorrow.